everybody. Welcome to the Canine Connection podcast. So Lori and I showed this weekend, and I think you actually Lori's shown before this as well. I think once, right?
Mhm,
Um, and so we were going to talk about we had talked in the past about what we were working on with Ever and Zesty, um where we were trying in each case we're working on getting a dog that's more comfortable, more relaxed in the ring. We have separate issues, for lack of a better word, kind of similar but not really the same.
mhm.
So I figured we would talk about them separately. So I thought we would start with Ever because I'm just trying to think what's the best. Well, Lori, why don't you just talk about it, and then
Yeah.
I'll throw in my observations, the things I saw or thought, like, randomly, um, as you kind of explain
Stuff
the
that I've been
process.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ever and I, have been working a lot together on, the thing with Ever is that it's her arousal state that I'm really working on trying to find really optimal state mindset of being in the ring. So what happens with Ever, she's a super sensitive dog. Um and she just, if she thinks she's wrong or made a mistake, she looks like she's going to die, right? So her
Or if she's
default,
unsure, if
or
she's
she's on,
worried
yeah,
or unsure, she looks that way as well. Like, if
yeah.
she's just like, if nothing bad happened, sometimes, like, she'll just be like, start getting panicky.
Yeah, she'll start getting panicky, she worries, she's a total thinker. I, on the other hand, am not like, I'm I struggled a lot with that. I'm just giving a backstory on, like, kinda how this all came to head. So, when she would go when she was looking like that, then I then would go into trying to bring her up, right? Like, my go-to was, "Oh, I need to get her high. I need to get her highly aroused so that she can get through the exercise or the class, right? So we could qualify." And what happened was, in doing so, like, first of all, like, that's how I just started training her a ton, even in the beginning, because I knew she was like that. So everything I trained with her, I did it a lot in high arousal, barking, leaping, bouncing, running, cookie tosses. Like, I never really did um a proper job at recognizing that that's not how she'll ever be in the ring. That's not like trial picture. That's not how we're gonna look, or how I'm gonna act, or my training was not matching trial picture, nor was she learning how to function in a lower aroused state, right? So
So let me just jump in. So
yeah,
you
go ahead.
created cues, right? That you would use in the ring. Like, so if she looked flat or nervous or worried, then exercise finished, you would use cues that you trained
Yeah.
to artificially bring her arousal up, like on cue,
On cue, right? So whatever
which
those
she
would be.
would do, but then that arousal would actually end up looking like anxiety.
Yeah, and it actually wasn't, it was she the thing with that was, like, she would go from being low arousal, which is what most people, like, they were like, "Oh, my dog looks sad, my dog looks, like they're walking to their death," sort of thing. That's how Ever would look. Or if I tried to bring her up to get her through, like on cue, then she would go into that kind of frenetic high arousal, and she would bark at me, and it wasn't like Petra said, like, it wasn't like a clean bark. She was, like, anxious, like it so, we weren't operating in a great state of arousal, right?
Mhm.
That was the problem, and what happened was then, a lot of things just then there was just that just created conflict between the 2 of us because I became frustrated, um, because I didn't know. I went into sort of like, "Oh, this dog, I don't know what to do. She's either sucky or she's too high and barking at me." And then it was just we figured out from talking to Petra, talking to some other friends, like, and then we just came to the consensus, like, I never really trained this dog in the right, like, mindset, like, or even trained her when she got in that low arousal. She didn't even know how to function there. So she wasn't functioning correctly low, she wasn't functioning correctly high, and we never found the middle
Mm.
ever. So it created a lot of little issues. And then, I don't want to say like exercises got poisoned, but it did it. Like it caused conflict in the ring. And then those associations to ring picture, it just, a lot of things crept into our work that then we just didn't have. The thing with Ever, and I know with Zesty too, like these dogs are so highly trained. The training is in there. So even when she would go like sucky, like I'm like, oh my God, like I'm dragging her around the ring. The dog was accurate as all hell. Like,
Mhm.
you know, the dog could come out of the ring with a 199 or whatever, because even when she was sucky, like, she'd still hit all her fronts, like, she'd be accurate as hell. So, but that's not what I wanted. Like, that's what we always talk about, right? Like, we don't want that. I want joy. I want, like, that gleeful, bouncy, free dog in the ring. Like,
Mhm.
I felt she wasn't free. It was
Mhm.
just so tight and bound and yucky.
And then when you were showing her, you would in the ring, handling wise, do different things, but always where you were kind of like trying to get her in a so it's like the same thing I was doing with Ceci. Like I get in the ring, things would start to happen, and I'd be like, we're trying so hard, right? In the
Yeah.
ring,
Yeah.
all these different things to get them, like, in a better headspace, but then in a weird way, I think they end up the dog ends up perceiving that as pressure.
Well, that's the thing, and, like, with Ever, because the dog cares so much about how I feel about things and whether she's right or wrong. So, what would happen was when I would go into, like, I would see her start to dip, and then I would try to manufacture it to
Mhm.
carry her, and then she couldn't do it, like, she couldn't meet me where I wanted her to be, and
Mhm.
then she perceived that as error, and that was where I think the pressure got
Mm.
layered into the work,
Mhm.
and then there was just negative ick with a lot of things.
I think
Um
what you just said is so key that we really have to highlight this because it's true for me as well, and I think it's true for, like, so many people, is that our dogs struggle in the ring, and then we're like, "Come on,
Mhm.
you can do it." And then what you just said is so key that when they can't meet us there, they perceive that as failure,
Mhm.
which makes it even worse for them, right? Because most dogs the vast majority of dogs care about being right. The
Yeah.
vast majority, right? like, probably 98%, or maybe even 99. Then there's Zaina, but, like, other than that, they
Yeah.
really care,
Right.
right? And so when things aren't going well and we really think we're helping, then and they can't do that, then we're inadvertently making it worse.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's really hard. I know you'll agree. Like when you look down, and I'm sure many people listening to this have felt this, and you look down at your dog in the ring and the ears are back. That's the body, reading the body language. And the dog just looks like it's suffering. We instinctively want to fix it, right? Like we
Mhm.
wanna fix it.
Of
So we
course.
start right,
Mhm.
and that's the hard part. Like that was a big struggle to try to overcome that because really what I've learned through this is I need my dog to be able to switch, right? Like that's what I need her to be able to do. Like on her own, somehow I need her to be able to come out of it. So, does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes, yes. So what's happening is we, right, as handlers or trainers or both, um, and in this aspect, it's this we're the same. So the same thing was happening with Zesty in the sense that he wasn't where I wanted him to be, where he needed to be. So I was trying to manufacture it,
Mhm.
right? Like I would give cues that would say, come on,
Yeah.
raise your arousal, right? Bring yourself up into a better state of mind. And all it did was put more pressure on him because I was giving him more things to do. What he and Ever needed to do is to be able to do that on their own without
Mhm.
our
Right.
interference, without us artificially trying to manufacture it. We need to teach them to be able to manipulate it or to put themselves where they need to be and keep themselves there and adjust themselves up or down to stay there, right? Like with Zaina, when she gets too high, I'll look at her in the ring like, don't do it. And then she'll do something it's very clear. She'll start snapping her jaws or she'll do something where she lowers her arousal,
Yeah.
right? Because she knows if she doesn't lower it, she's gonna bark or whatever. And she knows that that's not correct, right? Um, so I'll cue her, but she does it on her own, right? I just do a quick cue and she's like, got it.
Yeah.
I need to do that. But Ever and Zesty were not in control at all, right?
Right. Yeah, and so this has been what I've been working on in my training, right? So um what I didn't do so what I did get rid of is asking her to do like I kind of got rid of all those pre-cues of bounce and all that stuff. So what I did was I sort of just call it like doodling, right? So if I went in and went to go do an exercise with one of my friends, one of my training partners, and Ever looked sucky, like my first instinct there would to be like, bounce, what can you do? Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But I don't like, I wanted to create a new path. I wanted to show her a new path of how to, for herself to bring herself in the right mindset. So what I would do is I just used like little things like another setup, a with me, a lie down. And I would just because I didn't wanna make anything look like, "Oh, you're wrong, Ever." right? Like, I didn't wanna
Mhm.
mark it in any way where she interpreted that as, "Oh god, she's wrong because she's in the wrong arousal state because she's worried," or whatever the reason is causing her to go low. So, I would just reset the setup. I would do a lie down. I would do a with me. I would do a pivot until she brought it herself. And then I
Mhm.
would just do a different, like, I would just kind of change up my reinforcer, how I would do it. So sometimes I would just feed it quietly. Sometimes I would do a scatter. Sometimes I would yip and throw a cookie. Sometimes we'd play a game. So in doing this, it kind of changed her relationship with her arousal state wherever it was. So because what she would do was, like, if she got worried or nervous or unsure about something and she went low, I could see immediately she's like, "Oh god, I know you don't like me like this." And it would fall apart. Like,
Well, because she didn't know how to fix it on
she
her
didn't know how
own,
to fix
right?
it, right?
Mhm.
So in doing this little thing that we came up with, she was able to, in her mind, fix herself,
Mhm.
whether it was on the second setup, whether I asked her for another front, and all of a sudden she would change herself, her arousal state, and then I would just reinforce it. And then we would carry on. So she just started to never feel whatever arousal state she was in, it was okay. Like, she wasn't in trouble, she wasn't bad, she wasn't wrong, and then she started to learn to fix it herself without me having to do it. So, it took a while. We did this for a long time and it's like all I did. I wasn't even
Right,
doing
and
exercises. I wasn't even, like, things have gotten a little loose because of it, but I didn't care at this point. I'm like, "If I don't fix this, this isn't, I need to fix this."
so that's another huge point. First of all, A, it took a long time, right? I
Yeah.
think people, you know, believe me, we would all love a quick fix, but it just
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Like, you have to be willing to say, "All right, I'm gonna try this thing and I'm gonna stick with it for a while to see if it actually works or not. And then if it doesn't work, I'll try the next thing." But you have to kind of commit to doing that. And you worked on that and didn't say, like, "Well, I still need to do all the exercises. So on other days, I'm going to do the exercises." Because then if you're doing the exercises and her arousal's not in the right place, you're counteracting the
Yeah.
work you're doing to adjust her arousal, right?
Right.
So you're like, "I'm just gonna focus on this thing that the arousal, and I'm not gonna worry about the other stuff
Right.
until later down the road."
Right. Which is what we've been doing. Um, so in doing so, she's made some terrific progress. We're heading in the right direction. Um, I showed her, um, last weekend I showed her, and I saw really, I mean, it's not perfect. We're not there yet, but there's definitely progress
You're
where I'm seeing.
close. I feel, well,
Yeah.
I think you showed even before that, and there were glimmers,
Yeah, there were
just to
glimmer
make people really understand that it's a
process, yeah.
process, right?
It
Like,
is.
I don't want people to think that, like, you did it for 2 weeks and then you
Right.
showed her and now
Yep.
it's almost fixed.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I want people to get a real appreciation for, like, you've been working on this a very long time.
Yeah.
You went to some shows, you saw a glimmer, but,
Yeah.
there were still a lot of issues. We'll just define issues at the things we're not happy with, not because of score or outcome, because of the what
Right.
we wanna see in our dogs, right? then then you're like, "Okay, see glimmers." So you spent more time, then another show, then a little bit better. Do you know what I'm saying? I just wanna
Yeah.
make sure people are clear.
Yeah, for sure. It does take a long time. And there's been progress. Like, so yeah, so I've shown her probably 3. This weekend was like the third weekend. And I purposely entered her quite a bit. I put a big I put a pretty good challenge in front of her. I showed her one day I showed her 2 days in a row at 2 separate venues. Um, so the first day was just a one ring trial, one trial, 2 classes. And she showed progress there. It was good. You know, she had there were moments where she dipped, but I'm seeing now where when she dips, we I what I do in my training with her doodling, what I call it, you know, where I might do a little setup, or I'll do like a little hand cue on my side telling her to sit, things like that I purposely put in my training that I could also bring into the ring with me. So things that I can do in the ring would be, you know, especially because I take notice if I get to directed jumping before the judge is ready and I see that she looks a little worried, then I'll do a little doodle. You know, I might do another setup right there. And I might give her a little hand cue. We're going to do sit. And that has helped her because we do that in training. And then it has helped her bring herself up. So those are the things I've been able to bring in the ring. And what I'm seeing is now that I'm having to do those less and less. I still have to do them if I have time. But I am seeing her starting glimmers of it where she dips low because she's worried or unsure. And I'm seeing her be able to adjust herself and bring herself back up, which has been like amazing. Like
Well,
those
and
are the wins.
when you do use the cue, it's not she's not seeing it as coercive,
Right.
and it's not throwing her into over arousal. It's like very subtle, it's very like low key, and it brings her just into optimal arousal. Like,
Yeah.
it's very, like, you know, it's not like what we did where we're like, "Come on," "Bounce, bounce, bounce," like, "Come up, come up, come up." It's just it's very subtle, it's motion based, or it's just like a very quick, calm cue, and not a lot of effort, like, on your part, and
Right.
she's responding to it, and she's not responding to it where she's like, "Oh god, I gotta drag
Yeah.
myself out," or going, "Okay, then I'll get really high."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
that's really a big improvement as well.
yeah, it has been a big improvement. So those moments that I saw this weekend, especially because, you know, I trialed her on one day and then we traveled and came to another trial the next day, which was actually where you were. And it was 2 trials going on concurrently. So she did a total of 6 classes over the 2 days, which is a lot. Like, that's incredibly hard for the
Mhm.
dog. So, you know, they're going all day. Like, so yesterday, you know, we were in the rings in the afternoon and I could see like I'm tired. We're tired. Like the handlers, it's it's fatiguing. And by the time I was in my last class with her, like she's tired. I can see it. Like I I walked I went to cue her for my ring entrance like we always do, and she like didn't do it. Like she was like, I don't have it in me. And every fiber in my being wanted to be like, push it, ring. Like,
Mhm.
like that's where we want to go. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm going to meet her right now where she is and not do that to her. And it was really hard because we're walking through the ring entrance, like, that's not how
Mhm.
I want it to look, but I knew, like, I can't go there. I can't do that, like, and if she's dragging herself to the point where, like, it wasn't gonna be go in the right direction, I would have excused ourselves. So, but what was nice was I just said in my head I, like, looked at her and I said in my head, "I know, buddy, you're tired. It's alright. We're just gonna go to the first exercise." I just made sure I put no pressure on her, and I
Right.
went and set up for the first exercise, which was the fucking broad jump. Oh god, like, it's like, God, worst one for
Oh
us,
god.
and, um and I set her up and I just did my pre-cue as I normally do, and her ears came up and I sent her and she nailed it, and, like, she brought it on her own, and I was like, that was just worth everything to me. I coulda just left and been happy with that, and throughout the class, like, she brought it, like, she was amazing. So, yeah, did she dip low? Yes. Was she tired? Yes. But I really, really, controlled myself because I needed to not put any I need to not layer anything on her. I needed to let her try to bring it on her own, and she did multiple times on her own throughout the weekend, which I was absolutely thrilled with. So,
Well, so
that's
you
where we are.
also changed your handling because,
Yeah.
like, I couldn't, like, what, because I was showing, 2 dogs in 2
Yeah.
trials and on and was in and out of the ring, like, 8,000 times. Um, I couldn't, like, actually watch, but I don't know, at one point, I was with one of my dogs, probably waiting to go, waiting to go in a few dogs or something, and I heard you in the ring, and I was like, "Oh, you that was the first time I heard you in the ring where you sounded exactly like you sound in training."
Training. Yep.
Yeah, like,
Yep.
exactly, and I was like, "Oh, that's really good." It was so clear to me in that moment. So, like, I must have heard you in other trials over
Yeah.
the year, in other situations, and, like, I don't even think it's a conscious thing, like, subconsciously, like, I probably know, like, certain handlers just
Yeah.
because, right, like, how they sound or whatever. Um, so I think that's really, really important too because I so there were a couple so you sounded very different and then your student, right,
Yeah.
with the
Joan. Joan
Joan with the
Jack.
terrier,
Yeah.
like, so she was so this is it open A, right?
Yep. Open A.
Yeah, open A with a terrier, okay? And so she was like I was talking to her and I don't know, she was I forget exactly what we were talking about, her being nervous or so. And then she said something to me like, "Yeah, like I have a lesson with Lori," and she goes, "Okay, like, do, like, a little run through or partial run through," and then she tells me, like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "Well, I think I did okay," and she's like, "You were nothing like you are in training." I said, "Well, that should be your goal right there." I said, "Your only goal," I said, "when you go in that ring today should be don't worry about your dog because everybody gets nervous and then they're like, I don't know if I should even show. I don't know what my dog's gonna do. I don't know
Yeah.
this and that. I said to her, only focus on one thing. Do the same thing in the ring as you do in training,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I think she did that. As a matter of fact, she even helped the dog. She even did a couple like
Yeah.
extra cues, which she knowingly, consciously did on purpose.
Yeah.
It didn't disqualify her. But and like I felt like she worked her transitions really hard.
Yeah.
And she, like, really she held it together. There was some amazing stuff that happened where I was
There
like
was.
first of all, I can't even watch, like, it's the most stressful
Oh
thing
my
on the
god, me
planet
too.
because she's so lovely and she has worked so hard with this dog, so hard, and I can see it, and she tries so hard. And she did such a beautiful job handling the dog, like, it made a little mistake, she didn't panic, and the dog went, "Oh, I remember what to do," because she totally held it together,
Yeah,
a bunch of times, and they qualified, and
yeah,
it was super cute class,
yeah,
and again, though, the theme there was which, is so challenging, but it's like to be the same in the ring as in training.
yeah.
And that's hard. And it's
Hard.
especially hard to hold that when your dog you're like handling the way you want, your dog struggles, you panic, you change. That actually probably makes it worse for the dog, and then down a rabbit hole we go, right?
Yeah, yep,
Whereas when the dog struggles, which is exactly what you described, she started to struggle. You were tempted, like we all are. You didn't, though, go
yep,
down the rabbit hole. You were like, I'm just sticking to the plan. Like, the
yeah,
plan is I don't do these things, right? This is not what I do in training. And then the dog does know what to do because it's like, oh, wait, I know what to do in this situation because I recognize this
yep,
because I see this in training and therefore I know what to do.
yep, yep, that's exactly. Um, yeah, and it is like this I'm telling people this right, left, and center all the time now. Like, it is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to, like, A, to be the same person in training as you are in trialing. Like, that's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that I think is missing a lot of times or isn't quite looked at closely enough. And the urge to just go down those rabbit holes, like, I get, to get in your head about it because and that's all I did this weekend. Like, right now everything I'm doing with my shows is in preparation for the NOC. And I'm not even like my goals for the NOC aren't even like, oh, I want to place, I want to win. I want to be able to get through with ever where like we just have optimal working happiness in the ring together. I don't care if she fails something cuz she fails something, but I just want that where we can work in a really nice she's in a nice arousal state that if things get hard, she knows how to bring herself back up, to get through those moments without me having to apply pressure by trying to manufacture in the moment because that's what we do. We panic and we're like, oh God, the dog looks like crap. Like, and then I think that's, like what we talked about, it just inadvertently layers on that pressure. But that's where I'm at. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and I think that's what was happening with Zesty.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
so, I don't know, I think it was, well, I don't even know how many months ago, but I think it was this same trial site, right?
Yeah.
Where, like you and Deb were just like, yeah, he looks like you're putting so much pressure on him. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not putting any. And then Deb said something like, well, can he offer, like, will he offer things? And I forget exactly how she worded it. So I'm like, I don't think so. So long story, oh, this is fun. But it's kind of interesting because I don't know, maybe the universe just does these things, or maybe because a bunch of students started doing anyway. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. So started by in my garage where we train all the time, put a toy on the floor, put a bag of food sealed, it's a Labrador, on the
Mhm.
floor, and just brought him in there. He was free, and I just walked around and waited for him to initiate something. And he just stood there with his head hanging down. And I
Mhm.
walked around and I walked around and I walked around. And I didn't give him any cues and I didn't stare at him and I didn't go, ahem. I just walked in a circle and walked in a circle and like talked to myself about like really inane, wacky things because I didn't 'cause I can feel in myself, like, this feeling like I need to do something, I wanna
Yeah,
do something, and I feel like that's gonna be perceived as pressure. Because dogs can read our bodies, because that's how they communicate, right? They read each other, they read tiny, subtle body language off each other, and that's what they're reading off us. So,
right.
walk in a circle, walk in a circle, walk in a circle, forever and a day until finally after, like, an inordinately long amount of time, I didn't time it, but I wanna say probably 15 minutes, maybe more, maybe a little less, I don't know, forever and a day. He finally gently picked up the toy and kinda walked over to me and looked at me like, "Toy?" And I just had a party with him, and we were done. So during this time period, it's been several months, I didn't train him formally, like, I didn't do like, kinda like you said, like you were
Right.
doing, I didn't do the exercises, I was just working on this thing, right, and we were done. And then the next day again, and then this time, probably went a little bit quicker. And when I was tugging with him, and I noticed it was very interesting. Like his tugging was it was free. So
Mhm.
even in the past, whenever I tugged with him, I sometimes would have to like tease him with the toy and get it and go, "Come on, dude!" Right? So even there, it was like coercive, right? Like I had to be like, "Come on!" Now it was his idea, so his tugging was very different. It had a very different feel to it.
Right.
So again, waited, he initiated, we tugged, done. So then over time, he initiated more and more quickly. Then if he initiated very quickly, we tugged, I outed, I threw the toy on the ground and started walking and let him initiate several times. And then once he was doing that consistently, then I'd layered in just a little bit, right? So I was very careful not to immediately get greedy
Mhm.
and start throwing in like full behaviors or full things. So I would do like tug, 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 out, down, sit, stand, play, out, drop the toy. I walk around and wait for him to initiate. So we do that maybe 2 or 3 times, done. Then when that was going well, I started to so basically then when I went to a new location, I had to start over from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So if I went to the Walmart where I train all the time, I back to walking around for like God knows how long till he initiated because he in his mind, like in all these scenarios, I initiate, I tell him what to do, and I'm sure he was a little reluctant to start working because he was like, well, in his mind, there was always probably pressure, coercion, whatever. I'm not a dog, whatever.
Right.
So I had to just be incredibly patient. I also started to realize, I think, over time and over a bunch of my students now, wanting to try this, that a lot of times we're not acclimating the dogs long enough.
Mhm.
So we go somewhere, we walk them around. Like I am very good about doing acclimation, but then I say to the dog, okay, let's work. Now that I'm waiting for him to initiate, even when now he's initiating way more quickly and very happily. And, but there's still this latency period. And I do believe that we're underestimating the length of time it takes them to acclimate. I'm seeing that
Mhm.
with a lot of my students where they're like, "Oh." Yeah, it's longer, but then when I get the dog, I have all of the dog.
Right.
Um, so that's a piece that's been really interesting and I've been working on with a lot of my students because I'm like, I don't think we give them enough time. So in any event, he chooses, and then he starts the game. Then what I did, so then when I went to the training, my friend's training building where I go every week, train with a couple training partners every week, it was super interesting because like he couldn't offer there at all. 15 minutes. And like I'd say to my partner, all right, like skip my turn, you go. And finally I put him away. Took Zaina out, circled back around, took him out. Finally he could offer. I played, done. Right. And it took week after week till he could give me more and more and more.
Yeah, and in doing so, like this, like just to interrupt for a second, like
Mm-hmm.
this process is it's hard. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to watch this, to see because we also like you have that emotional piece in there too, like, oh my God, the dog doesn't want to do anything with me. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it is incredibly hard. I just want people to know that, like, and the patience and just to stay neutral about the whole thing and just to wait. Like it is a really difficult
It's
thing to do.
so hard. I give so many of my students so much credit. I think I haven't taught this in the past as part of offering because I didn't think they would. And I see them now, like, and I see initially they'll like do these little things like that, that they're not even aware of. And I'm like, okay, so next time, don't put your hand in heel position or don't look at your dog or don't. And they're like, oh, I did that, didn't I? I'm like, yeah, because doing nothing
Right.
is so hard.
Right.
And like you're just walking in a circle, feeling like an idiot. And you're like, what is even happening here? And then like my favorite was when I'm in the Walmart parking lot and then I'm like, I had I had gotten to a further stage of this, but long story short, like, so now we're in a Mexican standoff because I can't move until he offers, and he's just looking at me, and I'm just looking at him. And I'm like, now there's people walking by and the dog's looking at me. I'm not looking at the dog. He's like 30 feet away from me and nothing's happening. Now you start feeling this weird pressure, like people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, right? And nothing's happening. And the clock's ticking, tick tock. And, I am not a sit around and I'm like on the go. In my head, I have to stop myself from thinking about all the things I have to do. So I just sit there and go, "Oh, there's birds in the sky." Like I say these inane things to myself so that like nothing is projecting anything, right?
Right.
And I can't like smile at him or do anything with my face cuz that's a cue. It's coercive, right? It's like I'm trying to get you to do something. So, until he finally offered, then yes, huge party and whatever. But yeah, so that do nothing thing is so hard. And then when you're around other people, it like, thank God, like, I have good training partners, right? Because like it's my turn and they're standing, and the three of us are standing around while Zest is just like wandering aimlessly. That's like my turn. It's
Oh my
waiting for him to offer, right? And then I'm getting like frustrated and they're like, just wait him out. So like it helps to have like and the whole time I'm questioning myself. I'm like, I don't even know what am I even doing here? Like, cause I'm like kind of making this up on the fly. Like, I don't even know where this is going. But anyway, I would see these glimmers and I'm like, I think this is heading in the right direction. So then he started to offer more regular. So then I said, okay, now I'm not going to start anything unless he initiates it. So, for example, if he's in heel position and I'm going to heel, I'll just say once really quickly, And I even stopped using words as much as possible. I would just do a quick pre-cue like that we're healing, and then I would do nothing. And if he just offered a little some like energy rise, I would heal a couple steps. Yes. So he would push me to start the behavior to get to the reinforcer. So I would set him up for a pivot. I'd cue we were doing a pivot just once, real quick. That's it. Wait for him to do something, a little something, anything. Then I would start, then I would do the pivot. Yes, big party. So then he has to like push everything. And I would just do those little pieces. Then I would also do it where I turn and face him. So, like, signals, command discrimination, drop on recall. I turn and face him and I don't do anything unless he offers a little something. As soon as he does, I would go yes.
Yeah.
And then eventually now he offers, then I would start the exercise, then yes, and so on. And so then I had to do that, then obviously once he mastered that at home, then in the training building, then at stores, then, at a match, right? Because each scenario is different and each scenario is a little bit harder for him. And each scenario, you kind of have to go back to prior steps. So
Right.
I felt he's been coming along great. Like he's been able to do some like chains. I also threw in a little similar to what you were doing. Like I use motion, like he likes motion.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of motion games because the other thing with him is he's insecure. So, when I'm in the ring and he's not sure if he's right, he starts looking for the reinforcer. Not because he doesn't wanna work without the reinforcer, because the reinforcer's information that tells him he's right.
Yeah.
And if I would praise him, it wasn't powerful enough for him, so I started to use motion games, which he loved. So I created all these different motion games, and then I would insert them between the marker and the reinforcer. So it would be mark, game, 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 then reinforce. And then eventually I was able to do mark, game, do a little more work, then reinforce. So now I had something to use to say in the ring, "Yeah, you're right." And he didn't
Right.
need the actual like food for
Reinforce.
that, right?
Right.
So that was working in training. It worked really well in the match. Um the last trial I was entered in, I didn't go because I lost seal. So this was the first trial. So totally changed my goals. It was 2 trials a day for 2 days in a row. So basically 8 runs, right? Original goal was NOC prep, right? They have to work on building up their mental stamina so you could see where your holds are. But that all went out the window. And I was like, okay, I need to just see where we're at.
Yeah.
Basically, use it like the most expensive match ever because, hotel, out of state, the whole nine yards, but
Oh
whatever.
gosh. Yeah.
So the mistake I made was I, went in to this environment, and because he had done so well in training and in the match, and I just put in the first 2 runs, put everything on him, like, go ahead and offer.
Yeah.
And it was beyond horrible. It was so bad. It was worse than any run we've ever had. Like like so bad. Like I had gone backwards 1,000 folds to like it had never been so bad the first 2 runs. And I was so demoralized, and I was like, "You know what? If he hates it this much, I'm not even gonna do like, I'm out." Like, I do
Right.
not want this miserable animal, like, we'll just do other things. And I was just so disappointed. I put in so much work for so many months, and I was like, "I don't even understand what just happened." Thank God Deb was there, and she's like, "How did it go?" I would must have been, like, close to tears. I was like, "He was so unhappy, it was terrible." She thought and she's like, "Well, it was just too much." Like, I couldn't ask him to do all that in this in this environment,
Right.
like, he needed a little help, and we needed to do, so I just needed to help him, so I did a few intermediate things, um, because I had a long time till the next runs. Like, so I simplified things. So there was an empty ring, which wasn't, which, whatever. I could go, it wasn't even a ring really, but in his mind, it was equal to a ring. So I was able to like do some easy little things and then reward him and build him back up and make it easier. And then I adjusted my handling where I helped him a little bit. And I said, okay, I'm going to go in the next two rings. And if he gives me anything good, then I'm just going to go. Wait, did I do that the first day or the second day? Yeah, I think I did it the first. Am I going to
The
go
first day.
yes? And I'm
Yeah.
going to run out of, I'm not going to run out of the ring. I'm going to say, please excuse me. And I'm going to leave the ring
Yeah.
and reinforce him. Right?
Yeah.
Someone will run out of the ring and go, well, Petra said she just ran out of the ring. So, and I just helped him just a little bit. I got like several good exercises in the row. And then my stomach just told me if I went any further, he was going to go flat. So even though, and talk about hard, right?
So just back up. So explain, like, so you did this because you needed to build his confidence back up, right?
Well, so I ruined his confidence in the first two because I didn't give him
Right. So
any
just
cues
go
at all because that's
right.
what I did in training.
Okay,
And then
that's
I think he was just so confused because in that setting, a look, the
well, then
dog's
his
shown
mind
enough.
right, and then his mind flips back to, "Oh god."
Oh God. And then I didn't give him any help at all. And
Right.
he's not there enough to like, he didn't know the answer. He couldn't
Right.
find the answer. So what I did was in the break, I said, remember, buddy, the answer is you offer. And then you get some of your jackpot. Okay, let's try again. Remember, you offer. Yeah. And then you get some of your, remember, you offer. And then you get, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember. I offer. I said, yeah. And then I said, okay, now there's a thing. It kind of looked like a ring entrance. I said, so I did like a ring entrance into there, do one or two things. He offered. He looked at me and I'm like, yes. And he's like, oh, I get it. In this
Yeah.
setting, I'm supposed to do that offering thing. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
So we went in the ring. I just gave him little cues instead of no cues, but very small cues, right? And then I did my things in between exercises and when he couldn't, like my motion games, but he didn't really fully respond to them, but I didn't harass him about it. I was just like, all right, we'll just keep going,
Yeah.
right? And he gave me some good work, and then I was like, oh, I think I might lose him. Now he had qualified, more than qualified. He was doing nice classes, but I was like, I don't care. It's not worth the risk.
Yep.
Right. So I said, may I please be excused, and grabbed my leash and jackpotted the living. Wow. That twist spin,
Yep.
and he was like, holy shit. Like,
Yep.
he didn't
Yep.
know that could happen.
Yeah.
Right. And now I reinforced him and I did the same thing again in the next string. Went
Mhm.
in, he was a little bit better, but I got to a certain point, and then all of a sudden I had this feeling, I'm like, I think I literally might have only had one exercise left. But anyway, I just was like, I don't know, man. If I go further, I might lose him. And I
Yeah.
just said, may I be excused? She's like, sure. Luckily, these are great judges. They're
Yeah.
competitors.
Yeah.
And even the one judge, even though she didn't know why I left the ring, she just said, get her the leash and let her go. Because she asked me later, what can
Yeah,
I
right.
ask you? I'm
Why?
curious. Why did you ask to be excused? You know?
Yep.
And those two classes were worth their weight in gold because he was like, it reinforced that he was doing the right thing. I didn't push him past the point to
Right.
where it went downhill. Um, And then yeah, it just really helped him tremendously. And it helped me because I got some good work. And then She even said she was able to make a few observations, like lower my energy a little bit more, slow
Yep.
down a little bit, take my time a little bit more.
Yep.
And so the next day I didn't even talk in the ring. He loved that. Right, because you even said, I think you said that last ring or something, you
Yeah.
were like,
Right.
"You didn't even talk." I'm like,
Yep.
"No, he liked that way better." Because probably even when I think I'm like, "Wow, buddy, that's really good," which I do in training, he probably perceived that as pressure, whether it
Exactly.
sounded like that in the moment or he connected that to the past or whatever, who doesn't matter.
Right.
So, shut up, I took my time, I went slow. Um, and he got better and better, and then it was so interesting because, like, he made some mistakes when he was in a higher arousal state, not because he was over aroused, but because I think he's so unused to working
Yes.
in that state,
Yeah.
in that setting,
Yes.
that he made some mistakes that like, so, for example, like, I sent him in the one ring to the go out. I showed him the go out, he looked to the right. I could have spent time putting him to the
Fixing. Yep.
center,
Yeah.
but I was like, "Fuck it, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do that because, like, I don't want to you know what I mean?" So he runs out, he goes to the wrong stanchion, and he sits, and he's like, "I did it!" And I just looked at him like, "Yup." Jumped him, and I could tell, like, I know people are like, "Oh, you're not gonna do a fix and go, or you're not." So, next one, I show him the middle, and I could see he's looking to the right again, and I know I can talk him out of it into the center stanchion,
Yeah.
but I didn't care. I was like, "I'm not gonna do it," like, because I don't want him to then go, "Oh, she's over managing me," right? Let
Right.
him go to the wrong stanchion again, and he was so happy. Right, and I just let
Yep.
it go, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Good job, buddy, that was super," and I just kept going, and then in another ring, oh, yeah,
Good.
so stuff like that, so I just ignored it, and I acted like it was all perfect
Yep.
because I know I can get that other stuff back.
Right.
Like, oh, with the glove in the other ring, like, he started offering without me saying anything. Beautiful pivot. I've never seen him run so hard to the glove. He was turning as he picked up the glove because usually he's so thoughtful. So he's out and then he's like, "Oh, pick up glove, turn around." And he like turned and he's running back and then he's running to the judge. Right. And I'm like,
Yeah, right.
so in my head, so now I have to make these really fast decisions,
Well, this is where it's hard because
right?
instinctively you're like, "Ah!"
Instinctively, you're like, "Here,"
Yep.
and he would have seen that as a correction, right?
Exactly.
Or
Yep.
if I said anything, even if I was like, "Here, buddy," he would have been like, "Ah, shit."
I was wrong. Yeah.
I just let him go. He
Yep.
ran to her and then he went, "Oh shit." And then and I just go, "Come here, buddy. Wow, that was really good. No worries." And I'm
Yep.
sure everyone's like, "What is wrong with her? She just lets her dog run around the ring."
But
And I'm like,
you're
"Good
it's
boy."
it's like what you said, like, it's freeing them up, right? Like, no, it's, like, hilarious, I love it. It's freeing them up, right? Like, that
Yes.
is the piece, and with him, like, he definitely has for with whatever went on, there's an association to trial picture, right, with just that sort of pressure that inadvertently on him with trying to keep him up, right? That's the piece.
Yeah, and
And
it
yeah,
wasn't it happened in training as well,
right,
really, because I was
right.
always like, "Come on.
Yeah,
Come on."
right, right. And then you know, that creates conflict. Like, that
Mhm.
creates some conflict in the relationship we have with our dogs, right? Because I had it too. Ever
Mhm.
perceived when she couldn't do it, that was like she perceived that she was wrong, she was disappointing me. And then it just creates that conflict in the relationship, the working relationship, which then bleeds into your stuff for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and, yeah, and I know, right, that, like, that stuff is, like, or in the one class, he did a couple exercises, then he, like, runs to get, like, jumps over the high jump, gets the dumbbell, picks it up, looks at the judge, like, for a second, and I could tell in that moment that he wasn't being distracted. He was, like, processing.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yep.
could see he was like, "Huh, this feels different." Like, and then he went, "Oh," and then he ran back, which a lot of times he'll trot back, right?
Yep.
And bounced in front and like, and I was like, you know, in my mind, like, "Good boy, perfect," right? And I just kept going. So, like, I think the point is, like, we have to understand behavior, right? And not look at everything as right and wrong,
Mhm.
because things that look like mistakes to me, I was like, "Oh my god." Like, that glove was the best glove he ever did, and he ran to the judge, and people are like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
Like, and I'm
Yep.
like, it's like, thank God, like, you and Deb were there, because like, no one else would even understand, like, what is happening here, you know? And I'm like, "Good boy." I'm like, "Oh my god, that was so good." And I'm like, "What?" Um, so yeah, so now he has to learn, like, and everything is different. You have to remember, I'm handling him different, so I'm different. So the dog has to process that,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I'm different in that setting. He
Yep.
feels different, so he has to go like, "Oh, like, this feels different,"
Yeah.
and then he has to learn to work in that feeling. And look, in training, when he's offering now and doing all these things, I am not asking for any precision. If he
Yeah.
fronts and
Same.
it's dead crooked, I leave it be,
Yeah.
because I don't want to add pressure. Now, yes, the accuracy is going to come back, and I'm going to be able to ask for it when things even out and settle down and settle in.
Right.
I am not worried about that at all. Um, you know, I'm not worried that everything's gonna fall apart. Like, yeah, it's gonna fall apart a little bit, and then it's gonna come back together, because the dog's trained. The dog's highly
Exactly.
trained.
Exactly.
That's not an issue, right? It's like, it's this state of mind, this arousal,
Yeah.
this, and me being, and towards the end, in between exercises, I was doing the motion games. He was responding to them,
Yeah.
and, like, he would look a little like reinforcer, and I'm like,
Right.
"Game, game," and then I had him back. So, all those things, it just showed me, like, "Okay, you're on the right course,
Yep.
you're on the
Yep.
right path,
Right.
stay the course." Um, don't worry about, like, the results, or, you know, and it was good that did have so many runs, because
Right.
I was able to just experiment and experiment over and over and over.
Yeah.
Um,
It was. Yeah.
and kind of start coming out up with a recipe, which, like, I felt like at the end, which was the last 2 runs when he should have been the most tired, I felt like he was the best, because it was
Yeah.
coming together, right? Like,
Right.
my warm up, my handling,
Yep.
his understanding, like, he was
Right.
like, "Oh," starting to, get it. Um, so yeah, so it was really good. On paper, it was a disaster,
Doesn't
but,
matter.
like, that's not, like we always say, that's not what we're
No, that's not what
what we're
our
after at the end of the day. Like,
Mhm.
ultimately, that's not what we want.
Yeah. And,
So,
so funny because, well, first of all, I was late going there on Sunday, and Yeah, and I didn't like, so, and I'm in the car, something happened with my navigation system, and it, like, put me, like, an hour and a half way out of my way, so I, like, texted these guys, and I'm like, "I'm gonna be late." And at first I'm going, "Oh my god, I'm gonna be late." And I'm like, "Lori, just who freaking cares? Like, if you miss a class, like, who cares, right?" So I was like, "I'm not letting it rattle me." I got there, I got my stuff out, and they moved me, so they put me at the end, so I had time. And I went into my first ring, and of course, this is all the stuff we've been doing is new,
Mhm.
um and I was like, I'm just gonna go in like I do in training. And she acted just like she does in training now. She's bouncing. We're going all the way to our first exercise, and she's bouncing. I'm not asking for any of it. She's just bouncing happily along. And I just look at her, and I remember saying to her, like, I love that. I love that. And then we set up for retrieve on the flat. I did nothing. Like, I said I did my little setup doodle. I did my pre-cue, and she let out this walloping bark. And it wasn't her screechy,
Mhm.
anxious, frenetic bark. It was like, let's fucking go. Like, it felt so good. Like, she was like, let's fucking rock this. Like, I loved it. Like, I didn't even care. Allison looked at me. Josh looked at me like eyebrows up. I'm like, it's fine. And her work was beautiful. Like, I was so thrilled with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and because we can tone that down
Yeah, yeah,
eventually,
yeah.
if we need
But it
to.
wasn't like it wasn't her, like,
No, it wasn't stressy. I heard it. It
no,
was not
it,
a stressy bark. It was a happy bark. There's a
yeah,
huge difference. Like it's
huge
not
difference.
her. I've heard it. It's not her
Yeah,
anxious. Like,
screechy.
no, she was relaxed and she was comfortable.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's what it was. It was joy. It's unfortunate that our sport is so
yeah,
kooky crazy that,
yeah, yeah,
dogs that it's so much containment. But yeah. That's what. And you know what? At the end of the day, like, I'll never forget, um it was so back at the NOC with Tyler, it was knockout rounds, right? And so in the final, when you get down to the final two people, you have to do a full you both have to do a full open round, full utility, right? So I think we did open first, and I mean, it's a miracle this dog did anything, because I didn't know anything about arousal or whatever. He was always over aroused. I don't know how he held it together.
yeah.
So I was holding him together by a thread, and the last exercise was a broad jump. And as I'm transitioning the broad jump, I'm like, he's gonna bark. Like, there's nothing I can do. I knew it. I knew it. There was nothing I could do, right? So this dog was big. He was 96 pounds, ribs showing, muscle, not an ounce of fat on him. He was gigantic. So, and it was quiet, like everyone would be sitting there, it was quiet. Send him over the broad jump. Woof! I mean, it fucking echoed off we were in this giant
Yeah,
ballroom, right? And whatever. So I come out of the ring, and and as soon as he barks, you can hear it on film. It's this giant,
yeah,
right?
gas.
And I leave the ring, and in my head, I'm like, dude, we still have a whole utility run. Like, so maybe it's a point, whatever. And afterwards, like, even some people asked me, I said, you know what? It, the reason he still was able to get through those classes and give me that accuracy at the very, very, very end, when all the dogs are getting tired,
Right.
right? And the other dog in the other ring was obviously a great dog, but she flunked an article. Well, guess which is more points, a bark or a flunked
Yeah,
article? So when
right,
you're looking at something like a tournament, you know what I mean? All
right.
right, well, you might lose some points on a bark, but if you've that gives you enough dog where the dog is free and happy and can do their work in, in those conditions,
Yep.
then I'll take the bark any day.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Good. All right.
Yep.
So that's where we're at. So I would say that, you know, what we're doing different things, but it's work. It's similar in that we're taking pressure off and
Yep.
that we're letting the dog kind of figure out, like manage their own arousal, learn how to do that. We're just giving them more autonomy in a sense, teaching them that. Um Changing our handling, trying to be the same, you know, you're trying to be the same. I'm like, I do like get very excited when I train and I'm always like, wow, but he doesn't like it in the ring, so I'm just shutting up, you know. And
Yep.
he likes that better, so fine, I can do that. I don't really talk when I show Zena, so
Right.
um but figuring out what your dog needs, adjusting your handling, and being willing to sacrifice runs,
Yeah.
right? Like, for the sake of using it as a way to assess your progress. And if you need to, like, leave, or if you need to, whatever, do extra cues or whatever the case, then just do it, right? Like, it's just a run, like, it's just a show.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's just another dog show.
Dog
There's
show.
more of them.
Lots of them.
And I get it, we spend the money, etc. Believe me, like, I Airbnb'd gas, the whole 9 yards. But to me, it was way well worth the investment,
Yeah.
right? Even though that wasn't my original plan going up there for him. Um, because I got so much out of it, and that's how we need to look at it, that, it's a long-term journey to
Totally.
get what we want from them.
Yep. So we'll keep you posted. There'll be more updates on what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Sounds good.